Alright, welcome back to Black Lodge Trivia Night. This is Art, and we're continuing our Lord of the Rings Online book quest run. Remember last time, I was a big bitch, and we were doing Volume 4, Book 4, which takes us to Minas Tirith, which I was very excited for. I have found it relatively frustrating to navigate, and I think I said as much before I set foot in Minas Tirith, and then I whined incessantly about it after setting foot in Minas Tirith. So I don't do well with vertical spaces. Maybe in life. But definitely in Lord of the Rings Online. The Mines of Moria could not for the life of me navigate that with any ease whatsoever. So it went from being like, oh wow, I can't believe it, and to quickly like, I just want to do what I have to do to get out of here. So, which is a little sad, and I'm hoping to turn that around. I'm hoping that's not how this stays. I've got a lot of quests. I've got ones I could turn in at any moment, so I don't have to be here. I could be doing something else, but the book quest is here, and what I want to do is I want to start getting rid of everything in my quest log that is not the exact thing I need to do. Yeah, I just want to... Okay, so I've just got the book quest. And the book quest is to talk to Othnar, and to also talk to Dwynlin. So let's see if we can figure out, now that I've sort of thinned the herd on that, let's see where to go. So this area that I'm in now is part of the problem. Like there was like a sort of a passageway that was off the beaten path that I don't know if I'm going to remember how to get there. So technically the person's right over here. Now the question is the person above? Let's try, right, because that's the way back down. Let's try going up if I can, and if that doesn't work, then we'll... Okay, so he's one level down, so let's try that again. And I don't want to, like, just totally take a dump on Lord of the Rings Online for 3D navigation, because, yeah, I mean, I've never done well with the 3D navigation in maps. I've just always found the solutions clumsy when there was some kind of map involved, especially in older games, you know, like in the, the old video game Descent, which was sort of one of the first, like, FPSs, I guess. Was that an FPS? I mean, you were in a spaceship, but was the perspective, like, first person? To include, you know, like a Z-axis. I'm probably not using the right words, but, you know, Descent was like a fully three-dimensional spaceship thing where you flew inside an asteroid and then you were snaking around the, you know, whatever, and then you'd blow it up and have to get out, etc., etc. Here we go. Here's Othnar.
Welcome to the Dome of the Sun, where meets the Council of Gondor.
Okay, this is helpful, because this is the thing I was having trouble finding. Welcome to the Dome of the Sun. Word of your deeds is moving throughout the city like a fire in the brush. It sounds as if you've had many adventures and saved many good folk from the swords and axes of evil. May you continue to do so on our behalf, worthy warden. You've just missed the meeting of the council, but if you go within, you may be able to lend some aid to Arador, chief scribe of the council. The meetings have been contentious of late, and the number of raised voices I've heard from my position here have only increased in recent days. It seems no two voices can agree on a single course of action, for each member of the council has his own interests to look after. Can they not see that we must be united if we are to survive the coming storm? Nah, I'm just a doorward. It's not my place to speak so. There are some in the city who speak against the council, but you will not find me speaking such sedition. Alright, so let's go inside. yeah, this is one of the things I was just like, I don't know how to find this Dome of the Sun. I was looking on the upper levels. There's probably something I should have done earlier, which was just shutting everything off and like, you know, just do the things that you're going to enjoy. Again, never fails to impress. Like, just, wow. Okay, model of the White City stands in the center of the room. Okay. I wonder if this is going to be how you pay off some of those, like, plaque things.
Yes? I wonder if you might do me a favor.
Okay. You must be Black Lodge, the warden whom Mithrandir speaks so highly. I'm sorry to tell you that you've just missed a meeting to the council. See the state in which they have left this place. I wonder if you might do me a favor? I need to finish organizing these papers. Perhaps you might gather up the rest of the notes scattered around the chamber. The members of the councils are masters of their various duties, but they trust that I will note down the matters of decision and do not stay behind to ensure I have recorded everything. I do my own duty as best I may, but I must ensure nothing slips by my notice amid the confusion. Again, man, we're going right into it. Like, I don't feel like this is a worthy quest or a book quest. Like, I just don't. I mean, maybe it's not really. I have no idea. It seemed like it was part of that. And again, you know, who am I to judge? Like, I don't know anything about anything, obviously. So, I don't know, you know, you need to fill the time, right? You don't want to just be like, it's not normal storytelling in a video game. You can't just, like, the way you would in a book or a movie, you got to just hit the most important parts and get out. You want the experience to be a lot more lived in.
Let me copy these down. It will not be long.
Thank you very much. Let me copy down any of the important matters from these papers, and then I will have another request for you. It won't be long. All right. Oh, there's an actual timer. Okay. You're seeing it over. I didn't realize there was a countdown. So another 35 seconds. And that's the thing, right? Like, oh, you're a friend of Mithrandir? Oh, like one of the most powerful people in all of Middle-earth? That's fantastic. He speaks highly of you. If you could just clean the table... that'd be great. You know, just sort of a little like office space kind of like, yeah. And if you could just come in on Saturday, and then if you could just come in on Sunday too, that'd be great. You know, it feels like that, but yeah.
I need someone to bring these resolutions throughout the city.
Okay. This might be my living nightmare, just navigating the city for a book quest. There we go. I finished writing out the Council of Gondor's most recent resolutions. Now I need someone to bring these throughout the city so that the city leaders can take the appropriate action. Normally I'd send an errand rider, but if you'd like to meet some members of the council, perhaps you'd like to perform this duty? Oh, very good. Here's the stack of resolutions that will require immediate action. They are labeled with the correct recipient. Do you see? Here's the list. Okay, so we got Torshun, the warden of the House of Healing, Ekadon, captain of the garrison, Selafir, the warden of the coffers, and Mirudil, the warden of the stores. And I think we've sort of encountered some of those people already. Thank you for doing this. You'll be doing the city a great service. I wonder if that model's gonna somehow be part of the battle. Like, you know how in Helm's Deep, I think there was like a map with a table on it, and you could sort of choose how you wanted to approach the quest. I'm wondering maybe that's Where that's going to come into play, I don't really know. Okay, so let's see what we got going on here. So I think we've got... Oh, am I going the right way? Yeah, I think we've got one hopefully on this level. Let me bring up the frame per second. Again, you remember last time, some notoriously poor performance at times. As I've said before, as long as it stays above 60, I'm happy. I don't need anything amazing, but do like a bit of the buttery smooth when it comes to frame rates. You know, speaking of all that, you know, I think last time or maybe the time before, I don't know when I was talking about this, I was getting into all this stuff about...
As you know, I am the warden of the Houses of Healing.
That was very fast. Perhaps you should become an errand rider for the city. Too late. Damn. I suppose it would be difficult for you to leave the adventuring life behind, but prompt delivery of messages is something to be prized, and you seem quite skilled at it. As you know, I'm the warden of the Houses of Healing. At the council meeting that just concluded, I requested an increase in supplies and goods for the use of my healers. Spare cloths, water for boiling, warm blankets. The council agreed with the principle of my request, but not to its whole extent. I've been granted an increase, but a small one. It is better that... Oh, it's better than no increase at all, I suppose. We'll take blankets and cloths from evacuated houses, for their owners have no current need of them, and I will arrange with the warden of the wells to provide me with spare buckets. Okay. Now, if you remember, there was something with the cisterns. One of the side quest chains, I think, involves the cisterns, which is probably something... That's a side quest I actually would enjoy looking into more, but I think I'm going the wrong way. But yeah, so I was looking into, I think last time I was talking, you know, like recording, you know, trying to do double wide canvases in OBS. I was getting problems with FPS overloads or whatever they call them in OBS and blah, blah, blah. And I started thinking to myself, well, you know, maybe is this how people end up doing a dual PC setup for streaming? And then I talked about, oh, maybe like an M4 Mac Mini. But I actually spent some time doing it. I just, not entirely on a lark, but I sort of tried to figure out, like, okay, how does this work? And I did it. I got it running on a M4 Mac Mini with a Thunderbolt 4. I feel like I'm missing something. Is it down below? Like I'm basically right on top of it. And at the end of the day, you know, I got it to work. Am I just back where I started? Back where I started. Yeah, so that's how this is going. Oh, that's why the ring's there. It's not that it's below me. It's okay. That's my own fault. So yeah, I did it. I used a couple of different. I tried like an AverMedia USB external, USB 3 external capture device. I tried an Elgato 4K 60S external capture device. I was sending my camera and my gameplay over yada yada yada, and it was, at the end of the day, not worth it. My hope had been to send it over to the... This is all very non-scientific, and do not take this as like I ran the numbers and I crunched the data kind of stuff. It was just from me looking at it. My hope had been to be able to send 4K gameplay and camera footage from into my Mac Mini. And with Mac Minis, the M4 chip, ProRes hardware, transcoders to be able to get like a solid ProRes recording going. Now, my hope had been to get ProRes LT. That didn't always work. It wasn't 100% consistent, and I don't know why. Like, I might be able to do just the gameplay, but if I started doing the camera, which was also at 4K, which was probably a mistake.
Thank you for bringing this resolution to me. I will act upon it at once.
I'm grateful that you brought this council's resolution to me with such haste. As the warden of the coffers, it's my duty to maintain the guard upon the treasury. To my relief, the council agreed with my proposal that the guard upon the treasury doors be increased. If the city is soon besieged, it seems certain the gravest threat to the coin of the city might not be the enemies outside the walls, but the folk within them. Indeed, an unsavory group has already begun speaking out against the council and the steward, and I'm sure they would try and pilfer the treasury if given the opportunity. I thank you once more for bringing this resolution to me. Okay, so now we gotta go down a couple layers. I think it's this layer. Sage's tier. I think that's where I'm trying to get to. So anyway, so I, because when you're at 4K, the bit rate of ProRes LT ends up being like 300 and something. I mean, again, it's high, 300 megabits per second or something. Like, it's high. It's much higher than like the, 75 megabits per second that I might be able to record to in vMix or. So then I was like, okay, if it's 300 and something megabits or, whatever, if it's pretty high at 4K for LT, could I get away with proxy? And the answer was yeah. I think most of the time I could do a 4K camera record and a 4K gameplay record on the M4 Mac Mini and OBS, two separate instances, with proxy files. And what I should have done is I should have then switched the camera to 1080p 60, which is, I think, where I'm going to end up with all this at the end of the day. So, and that would have been, maybe it would have taken enough strain off. But at the end of the day, I was just like, this is insane. So then what I was doing was I messed with, okay, so let me do, another recording. A lot of this all started when I was trying to use NVIDIA background removal. Also recording my camera, like with a double wide, 4K, but it's twice as wide. So like half of it on the right was my 4K camera, half on the left was my nice, a level 159 Hunter. Very, very nicely done, sir. Makes me realize I do not know what the level cap is at this point. I thought it was 150. Anyway, so I started, so I was like, okay, let me, that's how it all started, and then I realized, like, I don't need to do real-time background removal if I could just do the double wide, like with the blue screen in front of me, and then in post, I could take care of it. And as if I had done the background removal before I uploaded it, I could just remove it myself. And I was like, okay, so this is, and then all of a sudden I was just like, this is all such a hassle to, in the end, accomplish not really anything of value. And then you go to YouTube and search all this stuff. There's like tons of videos like, yeah, you can do it, but it's not worth it anymore. And I'm like, okay, no, I get it. Okay, met Sarnion, Master Archivist. Okay. Anyway, so at the end of the day, like, I figured out, like, I could do it. And then, so then what I realized is that if I were ever to really, really do it.
I am the warden of the stores. It is a difficult responsibility.
The council resolutions are already written. That was fast. It's good to see such haste, where it usually takes much longer for the orders of the council to be put into action. Everyone is worried about what lies ahead, and it spurs them to move with haste. I am the warden of the stores, which means that all the food and the goods brought into the city fall within the scope of my duty. I find where they can be stored safely and free from theft or spoilage and ensure that the folk who need access to them have it. I must confess some trepidation to you. If the city is besieged, I will surely become the most hated man in Minas Tirith. The man who rations the food is never loved by the hungry. This resolution will allow me to conduct a full inventory of the store, so I will know how much food and other supplies we'll have at our disposal. If the gates are sealed by war, that inventory may become very important indeed. Alright, can I just keep going? So yeah, so, you know, like, and then... I forgot what I was going to say, all this... And so then, you know, what the interesting thing was, like, after I did all these tests with, like, ProRes Proxies 4K, I could just remove the background myself. I didn't need to... I wonder if I want to be one level up? I think I want to be one level up. You know, like... And I could do a better background removal myself in DaVinci Resolve than, you know, yada. Anyway, so all this stuff came to be. And it just wasn't worth it. And there's YouTube videos telling you it's not worth it. And if I were to ever do it again, what I realized is...
Indeed.
This is the Master's tier. The real trick to all this, what I started to realize is that if I ever really wanted to get serious about sending my gameplay footage into like my Mac Mini, I think what you need is I think you need a PC with like a for real graphics card. I think I really like my Mac Mini, and for what I use it for, it's amazing. But it's not a workhorse, you know, it's not, you know, so I could see the benefits of, say, going with a, like a 4060 or something into a, like a second gaming PC. Or, this is the other thing I was going to say, investing in, like, hardcore USB Thunderbolt capture cards, like the Magewell, or going even as batshit crazy as, like, the Blackmagic 4K Ultra Mini, whatever it is. It's like $1,000, you know. But it lets you, like, record completely uncompressed 444, I think. If not that, but then 422 video. See, I'm back where I started. And what I need to do is I need to get down there. So what tier is that? That's, Soldier's tier? Okay. I'm sorry I keep getting turned around like this. I wish there was a way to mark, like, different colors. Let me just make sure that... No, they're all the same kind of color. This one's a little different maybe, but, you know, like investing in, like, you know, if you want to do it for reals, investing for reals in capture hardware, you know, if you're really going to go for pristine quality, then go for it. Like, actually do it. And part of this is because, like, I know what... I'm not an expert, but I have some inklings of some of the things that they do at the broadcast level.
How may I help you, friend?
I've used some of that gear before, and so like I'm aware of it, and then I sit there going like, well, that's what I want, and I keep trying to shortcut that, and there are no shortcuts. I think I don't know if I chose Swift. Oh, I did. Okay. So that's the trick. Now, another anecdotal part of all this. So again, like in summary, like if I were ever to do it again, I'd want to just invest in like a Thunderbolt hardcore capture card that would mean it didn't matter what system I plugged it in because capture hardware is doing the work. But then it got me going into all sorts of rabbit holes. This is what I spend all my time on, rabbit holes. The other interesting thing was, so then I was just like, let me do like an AV1 recording and compare that to like the ProRes LT of like, say, I was recording Foundry, BTT, like a, you know, just for like the Black Lodge actual plays, like kind of the most important part of all this. All the video game footage is just a lot of fun, but it's also like the lab, if that makes sense. It's where I like practice, tweak, because at the end of the day, what I really want is I want the actual play footage to be as good as possible. Believe it or not. I know it's probably hard to believe that. But that's the goal. I met Ekadon. Okay.
I am the captain of the garrison, and I take my duty most seriously.
Thank you for bringing this to me so quickly. I'm the captain of the garrison, which means the training and command of the warriors of the city falls to me. I take this duty very seriously. At the latest council meeting, I spoke on behalf of my men. The garrison lacks the weapons and armor needed to mount a true defense of the city should our enemies breach the gate. Furthermore, we simply do not have enough men. To that end, I argued that the scouts should be recalled from the Pelennor and Talath Anor and put to work as part of the garrison. Parthedon did not like that suggestion. When you've finished with this duty, perhaps you could see if his temper's cooled? The council did not agree with me, and there was much sympathy for the ideas of Parthedon. Still, the Guild of Smiths has been commanded to double its production of weapons and shields, so the men I do have can hope to be better equipped for the battle ahead. It's not everything for which I hoped, but it is something at least. Okay. Okay, so this is the crazy part. I did a recording, like 120,000 megabits per second AV1. Total overkill. AV1, you don't need that for 4K, but I was just curious, let me go really high and compare that to like a ProRes LT 4K, which is like 380. Well, I should say 120,000, it's not megabits per second, it's kilobits, so it's like 120 megabits per second. In theory, the ProRes LT was like 300. And I brought them both into DaVinci Resolve, and the AV1 looked better. At least when I was like looking at text on a character sheet, I thought in DaVinci Resolve, zoomed in a little bit, sort of really looking at the pixels way too close. Maybe in motion you wouldn't be able to tell too much of a difference, but yeah, and I don't know if I'm crazy for thinking that, but that's what I think I saw.
My brother and I have been teaching the folk here how to bring down a Mumuk.
Greetings, my brother and I have been teaching the folk here where to shoot at a Mumuk in order to bring it down. This crafted fellow is not as large as the one of the actual beasts, but it still serves as a good practice for letting her fly our arrows. If you retrieve the arrows I've already fired and give them to my brother, he'll be able to practice. He's been asking for his turn for a while now. All right. So I did all that, collected the... There we go.
Have you seen our father around the city anywhere?
Thank you. Have you seen our father around the city anywhere? I ask only because we have not yet seen him since we returned, and I'm afraid he might be rather cross with us. You see, he commanded us not to leave the city, but we left anyway. You understand, I'm sure. There were Mumakil to hunt. And furthermore, we learned how best to bring down the mighty beasts. That must be worth something, even if to our stern and disapproving father. Find him in the city for us. He'll be atop the wall somewhere in the second circle, probably with a view of the gate to the city, and perhaps you could plead on our behalf for leniency. He'll be stern, I do not doubt, but perhaps you can convince him that we need not be reprimanded for this adventure of ours. It ended happily, did it not? Yeah, so that's the part that I don't know if I was crazy. It's all compressed. It's all compressed formats, but the AV1 I thought looked a little sharper on the text. And again, this is like pixel peeping, looking like real up close. Okay. Okay, so he's, just further down the circle. So then that got me down a second rabbit hole. That second rabbit hole was, so that night we recorded our session of Black Lodge Trivia Night. I recorded the gameplay in AV1. I brought it into DaVinci Resolve, and I've got a RTX 4080, which I thought the NVENC transcoders did AV1 encode decode. So I don't know if the problem was DaVinci, if I don't understand what I'm doing, it's most likely that. There's some other thing that I'm missing, but it kind of worked like shit. Playback was a mess. Exporting was going to take like 11 hours to go to an AV1 file, even though the bulk of my footage was AV1. Although, no, that's not true. I had 2 ProRes hammer streams coming in, but it just... So at some point, something really broke down. And so when I switched to exporting as like an H.265, like at a really high bit rate, it took like 2 hours, which is what I expected. The AV1 was going to take like 14. So something really went wrong, and I didn't know what. So then I started like looking at different things, and I saw online that people would buy these really cheap Intel Arc, like A310 graphics cards. They fit in like a PCI 4 8-lane kind of slot. I have a PCI 4 4-lane slot on my motherboard, and it's like, yeah, it'll work fine there. You know, it might be a little... Like if you were doing like graphics, like a 3D game, you wouldn't want that, but for transcoding, it would be fine. And so I started looking at like, oh shit, is this another rabbit? Like, you know, do people get second Intel cards specifically to handle transcoding? The answer is yes. But then there were different accounts, like some people saying, yeah, it's a good idea. Some people saying, no, it's going to jam things up in OBS, but that might have been more for live streaming, which is not a concern for me. And so then, but then they just, it's just, you know, they just don't make them anymore.
My sons must learn to obey my words, or there will be no sons of mine.
I know you. You're the man that brought my boys back to the city. You have my thanks for that. I will have some words for them when I catch them. I don't mind telling you. I'm the Lord of Blackroot Vale, and within those boundaries, my command is the law. Outside them, I'm given authority over others by the grant of the council, the steward. But in affairs of my own house and over the actions of my sons, I have complete authority no matter where I am. Dween Hill thunders his displeasure, and some of the men nearby shrink away involuntarily. I commanded them to stay within the city for their own safety. What would I tell their mother if they ran afoul of some evil in Ithilien? Rossman would never let me hear the end of it. Tell me where they are, and I'll teach them obedience. You tell them that they learned something valuable about fighting Mumakil, and that he can find them in the tavern in Minas Tirith named for the beasts. I know the place. If you help my men finish gathering up these bows, swords, and shields, I'll meet you there. My sons must learn to obey my words, or they will be no sons of mine. Feels harsh. Once again, if you could just like, you know, straighten up a little bit. So yeah, the Intel Arc A310 cards, like you can get them like used or, you know, like for, they used to be like $99 or $100, but now they're like, you know, closing in on 200. There's one, oh man, what's the company that makes them? There's one company that they built theirs to be single slot without a power requirement. You could just plug it in to the PCI slot and it would get the power it needed from there, and it was a single slot so it could fit just about anywhere. It became very popular for like Plex servers. So I was gonna take a look at that and, you know, just see what happened, but I was just like, you know, I'm not doing this for, you know, I'm not gonna like hunt them down on eBay or pay double what they used to be just because they're in short supply. It just didn't matter anymore. So I backed off of that, but then I saw like that AMD had started making like server level AV1 super encoders, which is going to be much more valuable to like Netflix, Hulu. Like there's people are going to get those that are not me because I'm not like some kind of server enterprise. But it did make me wonder, like, is DaVinci just really bad at editing in AV1? Do I just not appreciate capabilities of the NVINC transcoders. It's not meant to do that. So then what I started to wonder is like, is the best process just record in a really, really high H.265 bitrate using NVINC. And then to get the file sizes down to where they need to be, export as like a pretty high bitrate AV1. At the end of the day, though, what I learned about AV1 through all this, rabbit hole diving is that, surprise, it's really good. It looks really good. And I wonder if there's going to come a time where it just becomes, if editing platforms can get better and better, I don't know if it's possible given that it's like a compressed format. And ProRes is sort of a compressed format that's designed to work well with editors, but maybe editors will start tailoring toward AV1. Because it was really, really impressive.
And furthermore,
You've arrived to find Lord Dwyn here mid-shout, and as my son, you are responsible for upholding my good name. If you do not do as I command, folk will look at your example and say, Dwyn here cannot even control his own sons. What sort of man is that? And furthermore, Dwyn here splutters into silence. Dwyn here stares at the makeshift Mumak, seeming to see it for the first time.
can I have a try? I will show you how this is done, I warrant.
Yeah, if you look at the frames per second down here, it's like it was down in the teens a second ago. Let me see if I point back down at the floor. No. Yeah, I don't know what was going on, but it dipped into the teens, the 20s. So something's really weird about the performance here. It's not hitting 60 at all, and we're inside. Yeah, I don't know what's up. Lord Dwyn here stares at the sight of the arrows flying towards the makeshift Mumak, and is silent for a moment. Suddenly he erupts once again, but with quite a different exclamation. Ha! A palpable hit, Darufin. That's the way. Why did you not tell me about this? This exercise seems to me quite a useful one. Can I have a try, my son? I'll show you how it's done, I warrant. You will see your sire get it on his first try, Dwynlin. I cannot stay mad at my boys. They get their skill at archery for me, you know.
Do you see? There is nothing to worry about after all.
Do you see? There's nothing to worry about after all. He's never been able to stay mad at Darufin or me for very long. Our mother thinks we remind him of himself when he was young. Or perhaps old. He insists he's not changed, after all. Thank you once again, my friend. We will be here practicing our technique. If the battle comes, we will be ready. And that, level 101. Anyway, so yeah, again, like at the end of the day, the real takeaway, I was, the way people are saying online, it makes it sound like, AV1 is going to take over streaming by storm, Netflix, Hulu, and it's, why not? Like, they stand to save so much money given, like, the quality they get for the lower bandwidth. I doubt they'll keep the same bandwidth and just make it that much better. I think they'll sort of cut it in half or whatever. So it looks the same at half the resource. So, but that's fine. But yeah, it just makes me, and I mean, obviously streaming is the way of the future. It's not broadcast television. Maybe even broadcast television, maybe that, it's all the type of streaming, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my way, what do we got? We got the Master's tier. Make my way to the stables. I'm getting better frame rates out here than I was in the tavern. Anyway, so that's just a really long-winded recap of like this rabbit hole I went down over the last couple days. And it was fascinating, and I love learning this stuff, but I really am curious to see what the hardware does in terms of AV1. And I know like Intel either is about to have new cards come out, or they just had a new series of cards come out at the time of this recording, and they're supposed to be impressive, but you know, again, I don't know how they're going to compete gaming-wise for with like the things that Nvidia is doing. But like Nvidia is like just shitting the bed in terms of shitting the bed's the wrong. They just don't seem to care about
indeed.
Consumer cards, consumer graphics hardware. Want the master's tier. So I don't know. I mean, what do I know? So if Intel could step into it cleanly, you know, AMD, I'm not 100% sure, like, it's not really as good, but are they okay? I don't know if they're backing off because they're also getting into AI and... I don't know. It's all messy.
As the Warden of the Green, it is my duty to preserve the townlands.
Ekadon sent you? I have nothing to say to him. As the Warden of the Green, it is my duty to preserve the townlands and its people. I refuse now as I refused then to call back the few scouts and guards that now defend them. They are the folk who will first face the swords and the axes of the orcs. I've recovered my temper. The council dismissed his suggestion. That made me feel rather better. I've compiled a report of the situation on the Pelennor fields. Can I trust you to deliver it to Thalhir, the Warden of the Laws? Many of the farms there have been evacuated, and this report may help their owners receive recompense if their homes are destroyed by the orcs. Thalhir can be found in the second circle of the city. So that is the soldier's tier. Anyway, like I said, long-winded rabbit hole, but it was really fascinating. I really enjoyed sort of learning all those things.
How may I help you, friend?
And yeah, and you know, going back like the Intel, I really hope that somebody starts to nail it. I know there's like this Chinese graphics card company that just started making some things. Obviously can't even come close to competing at the moment, but if they're able to make like leaps between generations, like as they catch up, maybe that I have no, I'm rooting for Intel. I gotta say that. I'd love to see their cards because their transcoding stuff is so good. I'd love to see their gaming part of it, you know, do all right. You know, they have their own sort of DLSS. I think it's called XESS or something. So I'd love to see that, you know, get support and work well. Because once you do that, like, you know, like, because for a while I was like, oh, do I need like a 50 series GeForce? And then I started messing with, because I'm doing 4K, and then I started messing with DLSS, and I'm like, no, like you throw Dragon's Dogma on there with some like quality DSS, not even performance. And, you know, my frame rates are, you know, back in the game, baby. So, you know, and it looks, because again, you know, I don't have maybe the sharpest eye. It looks basically the same to me. You know, I'm not sitting here in motion able to tell the difference.
What is this?
It is a report concerning the land holdings of folk who have had to abandon their homes on the Pelennor. I see. I suppose Parthodan is doing his duty to take care of the townlands by preparing this report, but I think he's dreaming if he thinks the city will repay the owners of these farms for any of the damage the orcs inflict upon them. Thalhir snorts mirthlessly. He may be dreaming if he thinks there will be anyone left to repay them. The word out of Osgiliath is not good, and the army arrayed against us sounds vast. Well, I promise nothing, but bring this report back to Arador for filing. If we do survive the siege that must be coming, we may need paper to burn. And Parthodine's report may be good for that at least. And part of that hope is just things are so shitty on so many fronts, and it's trivial in some ways, like, but you know, it's just goddamn ludicrous the way, like, AI is just tanking so much shit for stuff that doesn't even exist yet. Yeah, you want a hard drive, too bad. You want RAM, too bad. You want a graphics card, too bad. You know, because it's just all being scooped up for future horseshit. As soon as we can build the data centers, they don't exist either. It's just goddamn ridiculous.
These are troublesome times indeed.
Again, non-expert. I don't know what I'm talking about, but it's just, it feels so foolish, like we just love self-inflicted wounds. Political ones, economic ones, just... Anyway, I try not to get into that too much here, but... But here's hoping that, can't even say it. It feels too stupid to say, so... Okay, apologies. There's going to be a little bit of a blip. You didn't miss anything. Basically, something was going on with my audio. I'm not sure what it was exactly. The levels I was getting in OBS suddenly were not what I was expecting, etc., etc. So I just restarted everything. Skipped you having to deal with that. But yeah, so basically all I did was I am continuing the book quest. I was complaining, and, I'm going to try to stop doing that so much. And, we just have to return the, we were doing a bunch of tasks. We were hand delivering reports around the city, and now we're bringing it back to the guy that started it all. I did a little tweaking of my interface because I couldn't tell, like, this map seems a little small. That's one thing. And it was in the wrong place. So, I was just sort of messing with that a little bit. That's basically all you missed. Me running back here and me realizing, was the scaling settings staying consistent? So, all right, let's keep going.
Thank you very much. Those resolutions will help safeguard the city.
I will take this report from you and make sure it's put in its proper place, but I share Thalhir's belief that we should first survive the battle before thinking about the aftermath. I'm sure I'll see you again, friend. Take care of yourself until then. Okay, talk to Mithrandir in the Court of the Fountain. All right. Now, was I getting really terrible frame rates in here? Because right now it's back up to like 120, which is what I would expect everywhere to be, for the most part. Let's see what it's like running around Minas Tirith. $75 for... Okay. I was about to say... Mostly staying above 60. No, okay. Yeah, I guess it's still the same. Thought Gandalf was the upper level, and now again, this is the one where the path... There we go. Starting to sort of learn my way around a few of the areas of the city, I guess. Still not necessarily loving it, but starting to internalize it a little bit better, I for the most part. And I wonder if that difference in password is actually going to come into play, or is it just like flavor?
There you are. I've been looking for you.
The Prince of Dol Amroth was looking for someone to undertake a mission of some danger, and I suggested that you would make an ideal candidate. Hurry down to the first circle and learn if Imrahil has already sent someone else. Okay, we're going basically back to the gate. So let's I guess let's make our way to a stable. Fast travel down.
Gondor needs your aid.
Okay, is that the craftsman's tier? Soldier's tier, but I can't tell if there's a... There we go. Can I get to the main gate? Or do I need to go to the soldier's tier? Main gate, there we go.
Mithrandir said you would be happy to undertake this act.
I'm pleased to see that he was right. Okay, so we've got some helmets here we can go with. Maximum morale agility or maximum morale might. Let's go with might.
Go to the north gate of the Rocks and learn why Ingold has not come back.
Okay. So when Mithrandir came to the city, he told me that he passed through the north gate in the Ramas Ekor and spoke with its captain. He found Ingold supervising the repair of the wall and advised him that it came too late. Swords would be more use than trowels in this late hour. Ingold has not yet returned to the city, but I need to know that the situation north of the Ramas. Go to the north gate of the Ramas Ekor and learn why Ingold has not yet come back. I applaud him for bracing the wall and the gate in it, but he will be of more use to Gondor alive in Minas Tirith than dead at the north gate. Alright. I'm just clicking things, see what happens. What is this? Plus 59 vitality. Let's see, can we add that to the helmet? Sure. Can we apply it to anything else? Why not? Add some more agility, I guess. Okay. Sure. Okay, so hopefully we've sort of specced out our stuff a little bit at this point. Now we're trying to get to the north gate. Okay, so we're gonna head out of the city. What are we doing? Get that going. Not that. That. I remember the last time we were out here, we had that pretty epic moment, level 154 minstrel, very nice. Pretty epic moment where the Nazgul was sort of sweeping down. Level 109 Warden, a fellow Warden. Nice, who's this? As we made our way, after Gandalf sort of shone the light and chased the Nazgul away, all trying to protect, blanking on the guy's name. The brother of the fallen Fellowship member. Again, just totally blanking for no reason. Boromir and... At first I was about to say Falamir, but like that's definitely not right, but I think it's in the same zip code. Faramir, not Falamir. Faramir. There we go. Much like Patrick and Matt have never seen Twin Peaks, as often gets joked about on podcasts, maybe I have not read or seen anything Lord of the Rings. I'm kind of curious, this looks like it's kind of a hub. It's got its own stable, so I'm wondering if it's just sort of, you know, as we've talked about before, like, you know, the quest chain sends you to the next area. It's going to guide you to where to go. And is this North Gate actually where we're going, or is this just a stop along the way? Now you can see, yeah, the gate needing repairs, the wall, I mean.
Gondor needs your aid.
Here we go. Let's see what the main...
I cannot return to the city just yet. I have disturbing news.
I'm still working to repair the wall. I cannot return to the city just yet. I have disturbing news, and it enforces my desire to leave, not to leave my post until the last possible moment. There is a second army. I think this second Mordor host crossed the river at Caer Andros, though I cannot be certain. None of my scouts have made it near enough to the island to see in whose hand it lies. I await word from my man in Crit host, Barathont, but he has not returned yet. I do not know if he still lives. I do know that orcs, wargs, and a strange group of Easterlings have overrun the plain of Telath Anor. It is this last that gives me the most concern. They are called Sulahar, and little is known of them. If you can defeat these new foes in Telath Anor, we may learn how to best face them. And I ask that you look then for Barathont in the town of Crithost. Once he returns, all of us can then return to Minas Tirith. All right, there's a logic to it. Let's see what else is going on here.
First time in Minas Tirith. Shame you couldn't see it in better days.
You're not here to convince me to leave my post, I hope. If so, that's a fool's errand, for I plan to defend this gate until the Rohirrim arrive. Okay. So we've got two...
The enemies of men approach. I hope you are prepared.
I'm gonna grab these, just because I'm out here in the world anyway, so maybe...
The enemies of men approach. I hope you are prepared.
Maybe we can kill a couple birds with one stone. And again, if these are all mounted, then this quest can just F right off, because I'm not doing it. Now, I wonder if somebody cleared this out already. It feels like there should be more wandering around. Guess I can go a little further to the south. Now, when I saw those two enemies running, I couldn't tell, like... Was that because they were sort of returning to a point on the map because somebody had aggroed them and kept running, or... Hard to say. Alright, so let's make our way back to the gate. I think we actually want to cross through it at this point. Oh yeah, look, there's just a huge hole in the wall. What else? The last bit of green. Oh yeah.
The Rohirrim will arrive before it's too late. When the time comes to fight,
Repeatable quest? No, thank you.
we can only hope that the Rohirrim
Let's see what we can do with
will
that.
arrive before it's too late.
Decimation of the land.
The enemies of men approach.
Defeat enemies.
I hope you are
Defeat.
prepared.
Kulur. So basically we want to take out some siege weapons and defeat some enemies. Again, if this is all mounted. I'm going to be a little irritated, but it doesn't seem to be that way. Here's Talath Anor. Ugh, but here's the Sulahar Easterlings. Let's see if there's any that are not. Oh, there's Crit Host. Okay, so we could... Let's make our way up there anyway. Keep an eye out for Easterlings that we can attack on foot. I think I was saying this already. Like, I think if it were me, I would include both. Because some people really, like, hey, they probably got really deep into the mounted combat, or for whatever reason, that's their jam, right? obviously I've whined enough about how it's definitely not my jam. So I hope they give me the option. Dead Easterling. Or a lot of Suhalar riders. I think I was saying it wrong. Suhalar riders. I wonder why there's like patches. I wonder what's there that prevents. I mean, obviously it's not the end of the world if they're only mounted, but yeah, let's see what's going on up here in Crit Host. Let's activate the Stable Master.
How may I help you, friend?
Now we have...
Well met.
Okay, so this has been something that's been a problem. Seems to be working right now. That's good. So, maybe they are, one thing I was saying when, the audio wasn't working is, like, I was messing with the map because the map here, up here in the corner, because I was wondering, like, are the scaling settings working? Is it all remembering, blah, 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 And, because I was having a little bit of difficulty, I think this isn't the part I couldn't save. It's good to test it out, because I hope they're getting revisions, tweaks, etc., etc. Because if it's not clear by now, I'm pulling for this game, So I was very grateful they put the UI scaling in. It seemed like there were some issues that I was not alone in having, and they seemed a little fundamental, like, the mouse is not clicking in the right spot. Which feels like a weird thing to... Alright, let's just do this. Seems like things are getting a little better, or maybe somehow restarting the game made all the difference. Let's see. Okay, if they're gonna stay local, let me just switch back to the other non-javelin form of attack. Okay, that won't be so bad. Assuming it holds. Got no beef with you, River Turtle. Get across the river. I don't think I need anything yet with these, so let's skip the flies, the turtles, the stalkers, the boar. Even the wargs. Again, as I continue my pattern of not saying the word warg the same way 2 times in a row, I think there I just did, but I think I was saying warg a second ago. I think my inclination is to say warg, but it sounds too much like an O. So then I catch myself like, am I overstating the O sound? And so then I overcompensate by saying warg. Neither of them come out smoothly. It's probably warg, and my inclination say warg. Okay, not bad. I thought this was going to be a lot more tedious, so I appreciate that they, and hell, why not? Like, you know, why not just build both options into one enemy? Like, if we're on horseback, go nuts, and if I'm not, just, let's go toe-to-toe, face off. Now, I know it said my slots could be upgraded or something, but I wonder, like, do I have to reapply the traceries, or just whatever I added to my weapons can now keep incrementing up? I'm not really sure. A little bit of lag. There we go. Nice. Okay. Make our way back to Crit Host. Or do you think it's Crithost? Crithost? Probably not Crit Host. It's probably Crithost. Taking a bit of a circuitous path back to the road, hoping to avoid a lot of business running around here in the wild. Crithost. I'll say Crithost. It's nice to be out beyond the walls of Minas Tirith again. You know, this is always the stuff I enjoy the most, right? Really just getting out there into Middle-earth. So when you sort of get locked down in one place, as I've said with any RPG, it tends to chunk down a bit. But yeah, this is what I'm looking for, just getting out there. All right, let's see. Are we? Here's Barathant.
I am alive, and I still possess the fighting spirit.
I will not retreat to Minas Tirith until the very last moment, and you will not be able to convince me. It's futile. Much of my family evacuated Minas Tirith and went to the Vale of Tumladin among the last few wagons, but my brothers remain in the White City. I can still slay wargs and their riders in Talath Anor, and every foe I dispatch means one fewer to menace my brothers. Aid me in this. You're an adventurer and can do a great deal of good in this land beyond the Ramas. Once we have faced these threats, I give you my word that we can return to the North Gate. Alright, so yeah, we're getting back out there, hitting the wargs. Now let's see what behavior these guys exhibit, because again, these guys might just take off. Wargs. Whoa, I can just hit the... Okay, so here they are giving you the choice. I just don't recall. Are the wargs only north of the city? So we've had, at the time of this recording, the New York City metropolitan area had one of the longest runs of sub-freezing weather we've had in a really long time. I don't know what the news was saying, but it was not insignificant how long it was. And so, you know, as temperatures get down into like single digits and wind chills go below zero, which, you know, is not crazy for, you know, the north side of Michigan, but for New Jersey, like a mid-Atlantic-ish state, it's not very common. You start to wonder, like, you know, the rabbits that we have living in our yard, how are they holding up? You know, how there's a squirrel that likes to hang out on my deck. He's one of my best friends. Not really, but top 3. No, not really. But, you know, just like at some point, like, you know, how's that squirrel doing? I haven't seen him sitting on the deck because, you know, it's -4 degrees with the wind chill. So then it's nice when I just heard the squirrel scampering on my roof. So it's like, oh, there we go. Still hanging in there. Back to his shenanigans. Maybe soon we'll see him sitting on my deck. There we go, sir. Why don't you rate that horse up again? That's how you get a cop to pull you over and give you a breathalyzer. Just face planting your horse right in the ground. Okay, so I know I saw wargs up here. And what is here? Some kind of ruin? There we go. Signature, interesting. Now, a dark blue signature shouldn't be too tough. Again, wargs always give me issues, so I gotta stay on top of their effects that they lay on me. Here's one. Now, are these guys' signature? No, interesting. So if you go for the warg, it's a signature. If you go for the rider, so he's already tried to put 3 effects on me. The first one was a bleed. The second one was like a reduction in my armor. The third one, I think, was some kind of fear effect. So they've got like... they got a bit of a toolkit to work with. So at the time of this recording, that's a phrase I say a lot because I know this doesn't come out anywhere near when I actually recorded it. Steam was having a sale on Souls games. Not Elden Ring, but Souls 1, 2, 3. So, I posted it, in case anybody was interested in our Discord, because we, obviously Matt and I have talked about Souls here on the channel. A number of us are fans. So, I was like, hey, just in case, you didn't have them on PC and you wanted them, they're 50% off. They don't get much cheaper. They hold their value in that sense. Like, and so, because somebody mentioned Souls, and by that somebody I mean because I mentioned Souls, I reinstalled Dark Souls Remastered. And just like, let me just tinker around a little. Next thing you know, I'm on my way to a faith strength run. I've sort of gotten into the habit of... there we go. I've gotten into the habit of... whatever I'm doing, especially if it's a faith run, if it's a strength run, whatever it is, basically I just... in all of my early levels, I just dump everything into the prime stat. So I'm, running, say, like a faith build. I start pumping, if you choose a, like a priest, I forget what the class is, but if you choose the faith class, cleric maybe, get a pretty decent starting weapon with the mace, get a pretty good shield to start with, and you get a faith of 14. So now in order to get into the Sunbro Covenant, which you can access relatively early in the game, you got to have a 25 faith. Now there's a couple ways, or you can lower that faith requirement by offering up your services in co-op. And every time you're summoned in to take down a boss, and a good place to do it is the Twin Gargoyles, you knock that requirement down by 5. So if you can, you start with a 14, you put 1 level into it. So if you can get summoned twice and help, you can knock that 25 down to a 15, and basically all you need is 1 level, but you're going to want that faith build, faith stat up anyway. So again, what I've taken to doing is just spending every single level to get up to 25 immediately. Because the levels come super quick, and 11 levels is not hard at all. You can do it basically, with the Taurus Demon, with a couple of, really simple, easy fights, you can get up to that level before you actually get to where you sign up for the Sunbros. I think I'm a couple off right now. I might be 22 or something. I haven't even fought the Taurus Demon yet. So, and then once you do that, then you get access to, like, your ranged lightning spell, and you can, like, get a lightning weapon, and then sure, it'll go up with strength or whatever, but you get a claymore pretty early, but you just also then throw some lightning enchantment on it or something, and
you've done well, my friend.
You're wrecking shop pretty quickly again, and then you have a pretty good build for the rest of the, then you start dumping points in the, I don't know, more faith, get faith up to 40, whatever you're going to do.
Before I can return, we have to recall the scouts I sent forth from Krithos.
All right. We are nearing the end now. The Mordor host that pours into Talath Anor shows no sign of slowing. I'm almost ready to return to Minas Tirith. But first we need to recall 2 of the scouts I sent forth from Krithos. He just said it and I wasn't listening. Go to the northwest and northeast and tell Cangrail and Brunion that it is time for them to return to the North Gate. They've done well, but now they must think of their safety. Find them quickly. They are sure to be in danger as the situation north of the Ramas worsens. Defeat enemies you come across as well. We may be readying for our retreat, but that is no reason not to strike at our enemies while we do. Okay. Yeah, so I was just like, yeah, it might be... Because basically what that does is it lets you basically roll right into casting your lightning spear the moment you get it. And you can get it probably before you get to the dual gargoyles. Okay, we just have to defeat 8 foes, so I'm hoping... it's not too choosy, and I'll just pick ones that are easy. Yeah. You know, and if I were going with a strength build, I would just dump every single... dump everything into strength. And, you know, you could probably get it up to like 30 pretty quickly. Or you even get too far into the game boss-wise. And then, you know, you don't have to worry about it too much. I mean, assuming, you know, and this is for like... I don't want to say like advanced players. I'm definitely not that, but I am experienced. Like, I've definitely beaten the game a gajillion times. So, how many hit points I have early in the game is not terribly important, right? Like, I'm going to be able to... does not care what the foes are. I'm going to be able to, you know, survive those early bosses without getting killed, even though I might not have the most hit points or stamina. Then you can build them up as you want later on, once you're just pumping out damage, because then you're like, you know, I've soft capped whatever the main stat is, so who cares? You know, put a couple of points into whatever the stat is that lets you memorize multiple spells, so you can get like some lightning spears, greater lightning spears, whatever, and sunlight blade. The one trick is, of course, you know, if you're not co-oping, it's going to be tough to get the sunlight blades you need to get like more advanced spells from the Covenant, and then you're stuck farming for them, but the place to farm them is pretty late in the game. So at that point, it's almost like, is there any... I mean, you can do it, because why not, but you're not going to get a ton of use out of it. And then one of these days, I'm going to learn how to do cheese for Beta Chaos, where you sort of throw the black bombs or whatever from a singular point in the middle. Because if I can, like, really learn that and internalize it and just have it so I don't even have to think about it, then that's the only real sticky point at this part. It's that and the final boss of the DLC. And I'm picturing him in my mind at the moment with his, you know, he's down in the abyss and oh shit, I'm about to die. And you know, he's got that massive one hand is super massive, the other is I don't know if I was just taking on too many fights in a row without giving my morale a chance to beef up, but I was surprised that I cut it that close to dying. Does this count as a foe? No mercy. Oh, shit. Maybe I should stop laughing and take it seriously. And just knock me on my ass 8 seconds into the fight. I'm having interrupted. I've got my combos all off. Now that thing did a number on me. All right, so we don't have to... Oh, interesting. Is that a halfling? Is that a hobbit? Or is it just kneeling? Kneeling, okay. She agrees that it's time to return and runs off. I will it run once. It does make sense. Yeah, you want to keep an eye on this, right? Seems like there might be some activity going on there. Nope. Brunian gladly agrees with you and runs off. Get back to Krithos. Getting some lag.
Now lead the way to the gate in Ramus. I will be right behind you.
You found them both? I'm glad to hear it. Now, lead the way to the north gate in the Ramas Ekor. I'll be right behind you. Hopefully I can swift travel with no problem. Like, I'd much rather take side quests on like this that get me out and about running back and forth, even if it's just like kill 8 of these, do 7 of that, than to do like ferry quests inside Minas Tirith, at least at the moment. I just find getting around like a little tedious.
That affront has not yet returned. We cannot wait long.
Some of the scouts have returned, and I am grateful, for I have need of their weapons, as you can see. Barathant? No, I haven't seen him. Did he say he was coming? We cannot wait for long. If he is coming, he has to get here soon. Cannot wait any longer for him to arrive.
We cannot wait any longer.
We must fall back.
Ride to the city!
We must fall back to Minas Tirith. Ride to the city. Retreat to Minas Tirith and talk to Imrahil at the first circle of the city. Probably could fast travel, I'm not doing it. Wrong way. It's that way, Black Lodge. Got it. Trying to think, like, if you were to get, you know, like I'm doing a faith run, which I find the most fun, and it kind of kicks the shit out of, I mean, they all, there's very few builds that, you know, I was talking about this with my brother, who's not like a hardcore Souls player, so he'll still hit like some brick walls. And I'm just like, yeah, it's tough. Like if you just go with like a strength build, you'll do so much damage, relatively speaking, to other builds that fights don't last as long, and if that's helpful, you know, just like gives you less chances to make mistakes, that's, you know, that's sort of my thing. Like, the quicker I can get a fight done, better. And because I will still keep making mistakes. But he's like, yeah, but what do you do? I'm just like, just, you know, try one of these weapons and, you know, just jack all your points into strength and stamina and vitality, and you know, you'll kind of wreck shop. I mean, you always gotta be okay at the game. There is some get good no matter what, but it's not, they're not as bad as it seems. Again, there's gonna be some sticking points. Bed of Chaos. Last boss of the DLC, which what I tend to do is I just look for people to co-op summon. You know, because I assume it must be fun for them, or else why would they offer it up? And again, I'm always like about the co-op if people are wanting to do it. At the same time, you know, and that gets me over a hurdle that I haven't consistently found a way past yet. I'm just, you know, I haven't gotten good yet at that particular fight. I can do Calamite, I can do I don't know why I'm having so much trouble with the names. The other boss fight in the DLC that everybody loves is like a one-on-one duel. I like that fight too. So, I mean, I can mostly do those...
What can you tell me of the situation in Talatharno?
Without killing myself too much. Okay, you've already returned. I did not expect to see you soon after departure. What can you tell me about the situation at Talathanor? You tell Imrahil about your encounter with the orcs, wargs, Solahar Easterlings that occupied Caer Andros and have poured into Talathanor. Second force. It must be a pincer attack. Our enemy has been planning this for some time, and soon each host will close upon the city. It will make the triumph of Gondor all the sweeter when those plans are destroyed. Okay, we got might or agility. Let's again take might.
Minas Tirith will soon be encircled by our enemies. Time is short.
I don't know if I can say Minas Tirith. I don't know if I can... I'm gonna stick with Minas Tirith. Okay, so here we've got some traceries and stuff. Maximum level 95. So some of these I might not be able to use anymore. I got a major essence of power, but I just don't care about power. So let's see if there's yeah, greater essence of... Let's pop that out here. Put them on the pants. Supreme essence of might, why not? Oops, I probably should have read what that quest was. Let's see. Okay, the Council of Gondor meets in the Dome of the Sun on the 6th Circle of Minas Tirith. Mithrandir can be found at the Court of the Fountain in the Citadel atop the city. Ekadon can be found at the south end of the 2nd Circle. Okay, so we need to tell everybody what's going on. And, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna, you know, go around the horn again. 2nd Circle, you know, we should be able to get to most of these places via Stable Masters, I'm hoping. I think I'm going the... Oh, no, there we go. Yeah, I'm going the wrong way. That's where I'm looking to go. Okay, so we want... 2nd Circle. Honestly, it might not be worth. All right, you know, that's who we were strolling around with.
Battle horns and spears.
I'll accept it, but the chances of me doing these are getting slim. At some point, I probably should... You know, I know I've got a number of quests checked off. Like, maybe I can just fast travel around. You know, not that I expect anybody watches these or leaves comments or anything like that, but I'm just kind of curious if people do, like, if they come to Minas Tirith and they really get into, like, all these little side quests. I'm just curious, like, is it just getting to spend time in Middle Earth? I was curious, like, what for you might be the draw. Is it the idea of all these little side stories? Is it just... You know, you want to do all the content? Is, you know, and I say that, like, you know, just somebody who, you know, I've said, like, I'm here for sort of a very specific reason, and I'm playing the game not for a particular level of difficulty. I'm just, like, you know, happy to sort of cruise around Middle Earth a bit, and so anything that stops that from happening, or doesn't narratively feel, I guess, worthy of my time in a sense.
A group calling themselves the Withered Tree commits acts of cruelty in the city.
Only a fool would deny that things look bleak for Gondor. A group calling themselves the Withered Tree has begun committing acts of cruelty and dissent within the streets of Minas Tirith, and their actions have lowered the morale of my men and the folk that remain. These lower circles of the city are especially at risk of suffering at the hands of the Withered Tree. Perhaps the passwords for the upper levels remain out of reach, at least for now. If you would help raise the spirits of my guards and of the citizenry, you will tear down any seditious parchments of the Withered Tree as posted upon the walls. While you do this task, speak to any despairing folk you find and try to lift their spirits. Hope may be in short supply, but even a little of it may go a long way during the trials we will face in the hours ahead. Confine your search to the first and second circles of the city. Okay. You got this, dog. I wonder if you can safely... No. I'm not gonna let you parkour down the roof. Alright, let's make our way back, start heading down toward the second level. The first level. This guy looks despairing. But it's not letting me... Oh, okay. You know, do people do the quest, like, for deeds, or is it, like, truly the story, or is it, you know, yeah, I'm just very curious, like, what... Because I think the last session I even saw and commented on one of the last couple of sessions, you know, somebody who had turned off, like, leveling. For all intents and purposes. So I assume you would do that so you don't outpace content because you want to really get into it. All right, there we go.
Some men in the garrison have begun listening to these whispers.
You've done well to inspire some of the common folk that listen to the lies of the withered tree. It's all too easy to listen to their whispers when there is little certainty that a new day will dawn tomorrow. We cannot listen, or we will give in to despair, and that only ensures the dawn will be further off. Some men in the garrison have also begun to listen to these despairing whispers. Find them on the northern side of the city in the second circle, and speak words of courage to inspire them to go on. Perhaps tales of your adventures will help. Find them and stir their hearts to bravery, or they will be of no use to anyone in the battle to come. So I think I'm in the southern-ish part of this city, so let's, there we go. Names are back on. I'm hitting the wrong key. Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna swing around to here. That secret passage, lost key stuff, if, I happen to see it, I'll do it, and if I don't, not gonna sweat it. Group of guards huddle in a knot. They speak in low, sorrowful whispers.
How can we hope to have victory?
We heard the news from beyond the north gate of the second Morgul host, and I was watching with my own two eyes when the Prince of Dol Amroth came back to the city with Faramir. The young captain's face was as pale as death. His father, the steward, lets none of us in to see him. He may have already died for all we know. You're an adventurer, but I would wager you have never been in this grim a situation before. How can we hope to have victory? Nay, not even that. How can we hope to survive? Recount some tales of your adventures. You wonder which tale of your adventure might lift their spirits. Yeah, I don't... Okay. Just gonna stop touching stuff. You regale the Ben with tales of courage in the face of great evil. Did that do it? Can it be?
Can we find such courage as this?
I do not know, but I know that we will try. We are men of Gondor. We will not give up hope, not now, and not ever. You've reminded us that even when night is darkest, dawn must come at its ending, and will banish even the blackest midnight. You have my thanks, adventurer, for the reminder that courage can be found, even when it is thought lost. You know what? I'm gonna fast travel.
I fear this will get worse before it gets better.
I thank you for inspiring my men to go on, at least for a little while. I must confess something to you, however. I'm myself worried. This is going to get worse before it gets better. We will stand against it for as long as we can, will we not? We will. With adventurers such as you aiding in the defense, we may stand a little longer than we might. I'm glad for it. Okay. Title awarded. Known to MInas Tirith. Okay. Vaguely aware is not a compelling enough title for me to change, I think. Okay, so, boom. Speak with the first Gondorian warrior. What am I doing? Book 4. Talk to Mithrandir. Okay, so we want to hook back, and then, swift travel. So we're looking to get Master's tier, Sage's tier, and probably the Master's tier is the highest.
How may I help you, friend?
Okay, let's see if I pick the right one. I think that's not bad, right? I think it's the right one. Even if it's not too far off, I would imagine. Again, this is the one that I still haven't quite... They don't mark it on the map. Like, the other ones are all, like, in gold. When it's a sort of a passage between areas. Oh, maybe it's not. I don't know. Yeah, once I realized that, like, the gold was... you know, the way to get between levels. This map started to get a lot easier, obviously, and it was dumb of me not to realize that at first, but yeah, I'm still struggling a little bit around top areas here. I feel like I'm right there on something. And the performance just tanking. Holy cow.
The council has a plan to assess the city's food stocks.
I'm glad you came back. The Council has just heard Ingold's report of the situation in Talathanor. The caption of the outwall painted a picture, but it was not a rosy one. Marathian and Miradal have been working on a plan to assess the food stocks and other supplies within the city, and they could use your assistance. They're right over there, and we'll be glad to have your help.
The deadliest enemy during a long siege? Hunger.
The burden of governance is heavy, but it is especially so in times of war. We have not seen Steward Denethor since Prince Imrahil carried his son back to the city, but we do not need to hear his words to know what awaits us. A siege, possibly a long one. The greatest enemy during a long siege is not necessarily the foe outside the gates. The greatest enemy is hunger. With the gates shut, we will not be able to resupply the city. The farms and fields that feed Minas Tirith during peacetime will be cut off from us by lines of the enemy. They might as well be on the moon, for as good as they will do us. The only food we will get here is the food we already have. Mirudal can tell you more, but it is a worrisome fact that we might simply not have enough.
These inventories will help us ration food during the siege.
I've taken stock of the flow of goods into the city over the past few days and combined it with the existing lists of food and supplies we were storing. This has given me an inventory of our goods, and I have divided it into sections for each of the main storage rooms in Minas Tirith. I ask that you take these inventories, one for the goods of the upper stores and one for the goods of the lower stores. Speak to the guards outside each of them, and show them my mark, and they will allow you inside. Compare the inventory with the actual goods and ensure that we have all the supplies we expect. Only then will we be able to properly ration the supplies in the siege, if the siege proves to be long. So again, this feels busy workish, but it does, I guess, have some narrative logic to it. But it isn't terribly fascinating. At the moment, again, it's just sending us back and forth across the different tiers of the city. I feel like that's one level down. Let's see if I can get to... need to talk to Gandalf still. And if I'm not seeing the open areas here, that means I'm one level too low, and I've got to find that little nestled pathway that I often overshoot that cuts up. Oh, Jesus. Man. I do wish this was marked, like the way they mark the others in gold. Man, seriously, the stuff coming into frame is sort of giving me a headache. And I apologize if it's doing something like that to you. I'm assuming I'm even like thinking of the right things. Because I feel like I've just gone in a circle. Let me try something. Gonna fast travel here.
Is this your first time in Minas Tirith? Shame you couldn't see it in better days.
Indeed, the mountainside looks great. What I was hoping was that I could do this, and then I could fast travel back straight to Gandalf, but that might not be an option.
can only hope that the Rohirrim will arrive before it's too late.
Easterling riders patrol the fields of Talathanor. Oh, shoot.
Is this your first time in Minas Tirith? Shame you couldn't see it in better days.
Across the river lies an army of orcs and Easterlings from the north.
We can only hope that the Rohirrim will arrive before it's too late.
Indeed, the east of Pelennor Fields is overrun with the enemy. All right, now I gotta go back to Ingol, but it's not gonna give me what I was hoping for, which is a fast travel via Mithril coin back to Gandalf. Now I can snap some femurs and get down here.
We can only hope that the Rohirrim will arrive before it's too late.
Nope.
Is this your first time in Minas Tirith? Shame you couldn't see it in better days. When the time comes to fight, you'll be
I feel like
ready.
I've done that already.
The enemies of men approach. I hope you are prepared. This is your first time in Minas Tirith.
Okay, so that's not
Shame
helping.
you couldn't see it in better days.
These are troublesome times indeed.
Okay, so let's take a look here and see. I don't think I can zoom in, but I feel like it's kind of like right there. I feel like it's something that will get me between the layers, but I'm not sure. So I think I want the Master's Tier. I think that's right. Of course, there's something right at the Sage's Tier, so I don't know what that is. Let's go there.
Gondor needs your aid.
The upper stores are guarded to prevent unlawful access to the yada yadas.
You are welcome to enter the stores, but remove nothing.
Stop, friend. On whose authority do you seek to gain access to the upper stores? You show to Rahil the inventory form from Mirudal, and she recognizes the mark of the Warden of the Stores. Aye, that is his mark. You're welcome to enter the stores and compare its contents to your inventories, but remove nothing. Go to the very back of the upper stores and use the upper stores inventory. thorough comparison reveals that the contents of the upper stores are properly accounted for. Okay. Man, even in here, the just tanking performance-wise. I'd be really curious if people have theories as to, like, why. Like, I'll tell you my settings are maxed. You know, like, I've got, you know, FXAA for getting rid of the Jags. 4K. So obviously there's things that should make it somewhat demanding, I guess. But, like, to have it be so bad in what seems like is the strangest places. Like, it seems like that's like a self-contained area that should not be that big a deal. Okay, so where's the lower? The lower's not that far from the main gate, so let's just do that for now.
These are troublesome times indeed.
Ourselves a level 109 warden. Very nice. The lower stores are guarded to prevent unlawful access to the goods within.
Go inside, if you must. It's a waste of time and effort.
Alright, stop. Why do you seek access to the lower stores? No one's supposed to be allowed inside. You show Dirian the inventory from Miradal and say that you're here to compare the record of the goods with the actual supplies within. Why? Is there really a need for this sort of extra work? Shouldn't we be more concerned with bolstering our defenses? Once the enemy is lined up outside the walls of the city, Miradal may wish he had not wasted his effort on the redundant tasks to which he has sent you. This is his mark. You may go inside if you must, but I think it is a foolish waste of time and effort. Finish your task, quickly, and may you turn your eye on more important errands afterward. Now, like this one, I'm getting 120 frames per second. The other one, I was getting 30 at one point. The inventory does not match the contents of the lower stores. Some food is missing. Okay, now it's tanking, so I wonder what it is that... I wonder what changed, basically. What's up, dude? Yes, are you finished? You tell Dirian that some of the food appears to be missing. I see. I should have mentioned this when you arrived, but I've had my suspicions for some time now that there might be a rat problem inside the stores.
Finished.
They might have gnawed their way in and spirited away with some of the food, especially the grains and cheeses. You should tell Miradal. He may need to account for slightly lower totals of food for the coming siege. It might be best if he lowers the tally of food he expects to ration. The rest will keep getting into it, I imagine. Nothing to be done. Seems a little sus. Seems a little sus. Yeah, let's see if they buy it or if they're suspicious.
Well, do we have all the goods we expect?
You tell Miradal the upper stores are fully accounted for, but Dirian believes that rats are to blame for a disparity between the inventory of the lower stores and the goods actually kept there. Miradal nods. Ah, I see. That's a shame, but it's not terribly surprising. Rats need to eat as well, and they can sense coming danger as well or better than we can. It makes sense to me that the rats might covet our goods. I will set the total amount of food to be rationed slightly lower than I planned, in order to account for the rats. Thank you. Miradal may be convinced, but your suspicions remain. Yeah, like that's very convenient. Let's go back to Dirian. Like, Seriously, man. Sounds like black market operations to me, but let's find out. You've come back. Did you tell Miradol about the rats? You tell Dirian that you do not believe a story about rats.
Admit the deed. What will you do?
And that you think he has been stealing food from the stores. His brow knits with rage and his eyes darken. When he finally speaks, his voice is desperate. Have mercy upon us, Warden. I admit the deed. My family could not bear to leave the city, and when the order to evacuate came, they hid within the house. They are there still. This is their home, and they could not bear to leave it. Or me. My wife, Mundil, my son, Kunir, my daughter, Fionel. They will not be accounted for when Miradol rations out the food. If I do not steal some of the food for them, they will go hungry. So, I've set aside a small amount. Is that a crime? Yes. Have mercy. What will you do? If you turn me in, you will doom my family. Help me. Or do nothing. Better than that. Better than have my family's lives upon your conscience. So here's the trick. Like, obviously you don't want his family to starve, right? We're not monsters. But when you are in, like, the most dire of situations, you gotta be able to plan. You gotta be able to... You gotta know what you're working with, because it's gonna come down to the wire, and every last bit is important. So one person here stealing is potentially gonna put how many others at risk? And it's because his family didn't want to leave when they were asked to. Man.
A pox on you! 1,000 poxes!
It's the greater good. We're at that point where, like, we cannot... It has to be the greater good. Okay, we've got maximum morale might, maximum morale agility. I'll go might again. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, it's like, look, dude, okay, they're still here, but we got a plan. We got to know what we're working with. We have to have accuracy. We can't, you know, have you jeopardize the planning of a siege like that, so.
That is an unforgivable transgression. He brings shame upon his city.
You tell Thalhir about Dirian's theft of food from the stores he was charged to guard, and Thalhir nods. That's an unforgivable dereliction of his duty, especially in a time of war when we face the possibility of a long siege. You've done a good thing for the city, my friend, and I will send guards to apprehend him and put him in the lockhouse for the transgression. I do understand his motivation for this, however, and I will send good men to find his family and ensure that they are provided for, and that they are counted when the food rationing begins. Still, let their father's sins be a lesson to the young ones that honestly carrying out one's duties is the better way to serve the city, the steward, and the council. Perhaps the longest siege of all is that waged against a man's honesty and sense of duty by the events of these dark days. Thank you for your role in this matter. We're lucky to have you. Take might. Yeah, like I don't feel good about that, but you know, maybe to this game's credit, like, I'm not meant to. Like, it's meant to be a tough thing that sucks. But, it's like, you know, his family's going to be counted. You just had to be honest. We needed to, you know, this needs to work a certain way. Now, let's add, unbound equipment will be permanently... Okay, let's add that to there. Yeah, let's add that to there. Why not? Who cares? Alright. Okay, so we still need to talk to Gandalf, and for some reason that's the thing that keeps eluding me. I can't find the passageway up, or the passageway I think I'm supposed to take up. So let's get out here. Again, I feel like, is that it behind the mandolin? And again, it's one of those like user interface things, like, you know, a lot of games now would let you turn off the icons on the map. Here you can't, and it might be covering up vital information. You can't zoom in, You can't take the icons off the map. So there's still, I think, some ways to go in terms of getting the UI in a place that would be in the realm of modern. So I'm looking now at the mini-map. The mandolin is not... Because I'll be honest with you, I'm getting a little tired of doing this. I confess it's not just that I find it frustrating. Also, like the choppiness of the frame rate and all the popping in and out of the architecture is legitimately giving me a headache. And I don't mean that like an actual legitimate, like, literal headache. There we go. Fucking, okay, so it's right on the other side. Okay, so that's what I gotta remember. It's right on the other side of the passage, like the long bridge at the top of the city. I'll probably forget that next time I log in, given how infrequently I do these sessions, but maybe there's a chance I'll remember. Once if I turn off the names, does that change the... maybe not. So it's not the names that are doing anything.
I must hear what you saw in Osgiliath, and I must hear it quickly.
There you are. I suppose you've been north of the Ramas Ekor and Imrahil's errand? I told you to assist the Prince of Dol Amroth, but soon afterward I regretted doing so. There were some matters I should have asked you about in greater detail, but I gave away my chance by sending you away. It is all set right now, for you have returned, and I will worry at it no longer. I must hear what you saw in Osgiliath, and I must hear it quickly. No, not here. Speak to me if you are ready, and we will depart together for the old archives, where we will find the first and oldest collection of scrolls in the city. I think your tale may require further study, and that is where we may conduct it.
Let us go to the old archives and speak on the way.
You may begin the tale of your experience in Osgiliath as we walk, and perhaps I will have heard its full extent by the time we have arrived. We must not spend too long poring over old scrolls when battle is so close upon us, but my heart tells me that there is something we have overlooked, some detail that may be of use to us in the days ahead. We must know what that thing may be.
Your encounter with Gothmog fills me with a dread I cannot explain. I hope to learn why here in the old archives.
Welcome to the old archives, Black Lodge. They were carved into the pier rock in the center of the Sage's Neath when the city was still called the Tower of the Sun. This was the original library and storehouse of the city, and it remains a trove of ancient knowledge and secrets. There is much to discover in these scrolls and books that are kept here. Now, it says there is much to discover in the scrolls and books that are here kept, but goddamn, you don't have to... Forsooth, I'm going to clumsy speak as we must because Middle Ages. You can, I don't feel like kept here or here kept is well, whatever. But few in these days give much thought to these dusty shelves. There's no semblance of order to be found. It was in these dark chambers that I found the scroll of Isildur, and learned much that I needed to know. At the same time, most people are not reading it out loud, so it doesn't really matter. I'm worried about the commander you met in Osgiliath. Gothmog, the Dread Terror. So yeah, I mean, that's the difference between, just reading and saying, saying things out loud is quite different. He claims to be Mordorith, reclaimed from the void. But neither of those is his true name. His true name was Eärnur, and he was the last king of Gondor. Eärnur was mighty and he did not lack for courage, but he possessed none of the caution that could have saved him from doom. He had a great victory at Fornost when he defeated the Witch King of Angmar, but that victory stirred his pride to great heights. The Witch King fled. Prince Eärnur believed he had nearly rid Middle-earth of that terrible foe, and cursed his failure to end it there. Years later, the Witch King issued a challenge to Eärnur, now the king of Gondor, and summoned him to Minas Morgul. Eärnur went to that dark city to face his hated foe and was lost. We now know that his will was mastered and he became the loyal servant of his former enemy. He took a new name, Mordorith, and was given the rule of Angmar, while the Witch King managed the interests of Mordor elsewhere in Middle-earth. Through your own efforts and those of the Rangers and the Champion of Angmar, he was defeated. But it seems that victory was not to last. He maintained some bond to his former life, and it allowed his dark master to draw him back before he was lost for good. Search in this chamber for mention of Eärnur, and I will search the other. Okay. You find many rolled scrolls, but nothing relevant. So this is the type of paperwork I think narratively makes sense, so to speak, right? Like, handing orders back and forth and running, Excel spreadsheets printed out, Middle-earth style. That didn't feel, but clicking through this feels much more in line, much more important. Like there's something that we need to find. Pull many books and don't find anything useful. So I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily the literal gameplay act that was bothering me. You find a yellow scroll that bears Eärnur's name many times throughout. You had better fortune than I did, for I have yet to find anything. Let me see this scroll. Mithrandir takes it from you and quickly reads the yellow parchment. After a moment, he looks up at you again. There are matters of interest in this scroll. It speaks of not one challenge, but two, a detail of which I was not aware. It appears that the Witch King challenged Eärnur to ride forth, and the king was dissuaded from that foolishness by his steward, a wise man named Mardil. That name I do know, for he would become the first of the ruling stewards when Eärnur disappeared into Minas Morgul. It is from his line that Denethor draws his authority. Eärnur did not ride to Minas Morgul alone. He was accompanied by a retinue of knights, and they disappeared with him. Some of these men you may have seen before transformed into Kargul. This scroll bears their names, Oralang and Kalatur, Silmatar, and Makilnis. I cannot match these names with their fates. These names are not familiar to me, but I have a dim recollection that a man named Oralang may have committed some heroic deed at the Battle of Fornost. It is the barest hint of a memory, but I have not even that for these others. Makilnis is a common name among the women of Gondor, but none of the histories I have seen include any women in the retinue of Eonor's knights. But this scroll appears genuine to me, and I have no reason to doubt it. Some of Eonor's knights have returned to trouble Middle-earth as Kargul, but the power he wielded as Mordorith seems more deadly than theirs. We should expect he will be more powerful still in his guise as Goth-Mog. And yet, somewhere behind these masks, does any of Eonor remain? He was bold but foolish. Can it be that Goth-Mog will be the same? Search this chamber for more mention of Eonor. I will search the other. Okay. Little avail. Nothing catches our eye. Little of note, even though the books are falling apart. You find a dusty tome containing records of the kings and stewards. You found something else? Ah, yes. This book contains diagrams describing passage of succession through the line of kings, and then through the line of ruling stewards. Do you see? Here is Mardil, the first of the stewards, who ruled Gondor after Eonor was taken into the darkness of Minas Morgul. Mardil swore an oath to rule only until the king returned, and each ruling steward has made the same vow. Mithrandir looks around furtively, ensuring that you are alone. When he is satisfied that you are alone in the archives, he continues. Perhaps at one time the stewards believed the line of kings would return, but that possibility must now seem quite unlikely. We should not speak of it, even here, but there is one on his way to Minas Tirith, who will remind Denethor of his vow. The king may very well return to Gondor, and the rule of the stewards will no longer be necessary. Until the king returns. Oh, dear. You are not to speak a word of this to anyone. But I fear that we may have overlooked a crucial detail. Our mutual friend approaches the city in the company of his Dunedain kin. If Gondor survives the war to come, he will claim the kingship. He will trace his line back through the years to Isildur. But what if someone else seeks to claim that right? What if Eonor claims the kingship? He's descended from Anarion, brother of Isildur, in unbroken succession. If he can prove he is Eonor, his claim to the throne is stronger than Aragorn's. We must prevent it. We must prevent the return of this king. It may come to nothing. There are a few in the city who would believe that a man might return from the darkest depths of evil, though he was once Eonor. Though he was once Eonor, he has worn many guises since he was the king of Gondor. He cannot be the man he was, and despite the rules of succession, he has been corrupted by Angmar and by Mordor. But we must remain alert. If Goth-Mog does seek to seize the throne of Gondor, we must oppose him, no matter the cost. We should leave this place. It's no longer as comfortable or as familiar as it once was. We must keep each other's confidence on this matter and tell no one the true nature of Goth-Mog's lineage. No good can come of it, for Gondor or for Middle-earth. I do thank you for your tale, though it be unpleasant and worrisome. Better to know and prepare than to be taken unaware, which is exactly what I was saying with the stores. Ha! For now, there is a city to defend. We must set our will to its defense and let all other matters fade into the background. They are lesser matters for as long as the gate and the men defending it stand strong. May that be a long time. May that be long enough. Okay, talk to Imrahil at the first circle of Minas Tirith by the main gate to the city. All right. You know what? Gonna fast travel.
It will not be long before the city is surrounded. I hope we are ready.
Imrahil stares at you praisingly. I have a message for you. I received word that Ormatar, the captain of the Citadel, has been looking for you. You should speak to him in the Citadel without delay. For that man can mean only one thing. Go to Ormatar with haste. In the Citadel atop Minas Tirith. Okay, so it's back from where we just came.
Gondor needs your aid.
Again, I think it's the Sage's tier, but let me just double check. Master's tier. Sorry, it's a good thing I did double check. I wonder if the Citadel is a building we were able to get into before, or is this going to be a new location? This. Oh no, it's just
Looking for you. The steward has summoned you.
outside, but now we're going to get to talk to Denethor. Okay. You are Blacklarge, the Warden? You must be. Who else might carry themselves as you do? I've been looking for you. The steward has summoned you.
Peregrine the Halfling will bring you before the steward.
Am I right to believe that you have met Peregrine the Halfling? Lord Denethor has named him a guard of the Citadel despite his stature. He'll bring you before the steward. Tarry not.
I will bring you before the steward. Keep your wits about you.
All right, I'll bring you before the steward. You may wish to keep your wits about you, for he is a somewhat frightening countenance. He is a man of great importance, I don't doubt, but he is very stern and does not go out of his way to cushion the effect of his words.
There is much to do, and now I hear the steward has summoned my friend for an audience. Time-wasting rubbish.
This is the Tower Hall. Do not tell anyone, but the steward makes me nervous. I'll show you where to go, and then return to my posting outside. Glad he does not need me at the moment. This way. This hall is very grand, but I would much prefer a cozy hobbit hole. Everything is so big and so cold. Black Lodge is here, my lord. Good luck. So I just want to say, in the movies, I think the actor's name is John Noble. Really excellent as the Steward of Gondor, and then really excellent if you have not seen Fringe, which was like a 2000 teens, late 2008, 09, whatever. Really good sort of X-Files kind of show, but like with a much tighter overall narrative arc. And John Noble is fantastic. He's so good in that show. So sympathetic, so heartbreaking at times, funny. Yeah. Imrahil told me you were on with my son when he fell before the city. Would that you had drawn his foes away, or put yourself between his horse and the wraiths. He fights still, but it is an unnatural wound. It saps his strength and his body is wasting away. My son. Denethor's voice breaks, and his eye is drawn back to Faramir's bed. He shakes his head, and when he speaks again, his voice is full of iron and his fists are clenched. Do you know what it is like to live so near to Mordor? Do you know what it is like to stand on the wall of your city and see flames in the horizon, knowing that they signal some terrible work of evil? Do you know what it is to always be in the thought of creatures so vile and so terrible that even death cannot master them? I know what that's like. Every morning I wake up knowing it, and every evening I retire to my chamber knowing it. And in the darkest reaches of the night, I wake from troubled dreams knowing it. I have struggled long with this knowledge, and I struggle still, though my son and heirs be taken from me. I struggle for my people. Come with me. I would show you something. Oh, shit. Denethor has brought you to a secret chamber high in the tower. Oh, you did not snag a Palantir. No one comes to this chamber without my leave, and I grant that sparingly. When I look at you, I see a student of Mithrandir. The wizard has been a friend of Gondor so far, but he does not have the full measure of my trust. Why should he possess it? He is not of this land, and if the battle turns ill, he will simply leave it, leaving my people to suffer and die. I am not without weapons. I brought you here so that you will see I still fight the enemy, though none appreciate the battle I wage within this high chamber. This is a seeing stone, an heirloom of the kings of old. I have turned it to my will.
Look deep within the stone, as I have done. Will you see what I have seen?
Now, this is a bad idea.
The forces of Mordor fill Osgiliath and spill into the plain.
Osgiliath was our last line of defense, and now it's taken. The armies of the enemy spill onto the plain, and their siege engines and weapons of war eagerly follow. The forces arrayed against us are vast, and they hunger for our destruction.
Hirgon, errand rider of Gondor, he is slain.
Hirgon was to present the red arrow to Theoden of the Riddermark, and by doing so summon the riders of Rohan to our defense. He's been gone for more than a week, and now that I see that he is slain, no one is coming to help us.
The red arrow will not come to Rohan. We are alone. No! Mithrandir's lackey is held captive!
Mithrandir does not share his mind with me, but I know of the dream that came to my sons, the dream that tried to snare Faramir, but stole Boromir instead. This must be the halfling captured by the enemy and held in this tower. We are undone by the folly of Mithrandir. My greatest fear comes to pass.
Isildur's bane, taken by the enemy.
You recognize the halfling? It is Frodo. Slowly your mind clears. Right, slowly your mind clears and you shake the visions from your sight. I've seen a great deal in the Seeing Stone, Warden, but these terrible visions fill me with dread as never before. You've seen what I saw in the stone. Hirgon and the Red Arrow did not make it to Rohan, and the foolish one Mithrandir sent to Mordor as a captive in Cirith Ungol. Yes, I know of that errand, and I know it has failed. Whatever that fool brought with him is now gone, and if that is the weapon I perceive, it will not matter if the gates of Minas Tirith last 5 minutes or 5 hours. The end will come. Listen to my words, hear what I say, and tremble at the truth in them. There can be no turning back from the doom. This doom, it comes even now. Listen to my words, hear them and know they are true, for the doom of Gondor is at hand. Now entering Minas Tirith besieged, it has begun.
So the Anor stone remained in the tower. I wondered if it was so.
The armies of Mordor have encircled the city. The siege has begun. You tell Mithrandir that you spoke with the steward, and that Denethor spoke to you of many things that he saw within the depths of the Palantir. And that Mithrandir looks up Mithrandir looks up sharply. Huh. So the Anor stone did remain within the tower. I wondered if it was so. Denethor has had a stubborn and strong will for all of the years of his life, but he seeks to gain some advantage over the enemy by using the Palantir. The wizard scowls and shakes his head. Denethor is too occupied with his grief for Faramir to work on any evil. Hold on. My voice is going a bit, just give me 1 sec. So apologies, I'm going to pop a cough drop real quick. Yeah, sorry, I thought I had one like at the ready. I usually try to and I couldn't find it, so I had to go grab a new bag. Okay. So the Anor store did remain within tower. I wondered if it was so. Denethor has had a stubborn and strong will for all the years of his life, but he seeks to gain some advantage over the enemy by using the Palantir. The wizard scowls and shakes his head. Denethor is too occupied with his grief for Faramir to work any evil on that score, but he will also be of no use to us in the defense of the city. Imrahil and I will mount the defense, and we will need your help. Again, I'll stick with might.
There is no more leaving the city. Minas Tirith is surrounded.
All right. There's no more leaving the city. The Morgul host has surrounded Minas Tirith, and the Pelennor is filled with the weapons of war. They have not yet broken the gate, but there is still much harm they can cause even from their positions beyond the walls. You must do what you can to help the city's defenders. The Council of Gondor is in disarray. Go to the Dome of the Sun and learn what you can do to help them communicate their resolutions. To help them communicate their resolutions. Lamlor, the captain of the Tidings, will need to help send messages throughout Minas Tirith. Ingold is atop the wall on the north end of the third circle, and he will need your help to manage his fear and the fears of the men behind the walls. Terror will be the greatest foe of our guardsmen, and they will need to master it if they are to mount an effective defense. The armies of Mordor have been using catapults and other siege weapons to launch burning stones over the walls and into the city. Find Rathon, the warden of the walls, in the sixth circle near the street that leads up to the citadel, and help him extinguish some of the fires before they can spread. Okay, so I think these are earrings. And I think we're going to replace the lesser enduring earring of evasion. Yeah, that's a pretty high evade rating, though. Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so now again we can add traceries, I guess, to agility, vitality, why not? Let's put them on the earrings. Now when I pop those on, though, like, okay, I was about to say, okay, my morale did go up. Let's throw this on there as well. Okay. Boosted up our stats a little bit. Now, my fear is that fast travel's gone, which makes sense, but, yeah. I'm curious how this is going to play out, because I honestly kind of half expected... Obviously, we all know the Siege of Minas Tirith is coming. I kind of expected this to be its own book. But the fact that some of it's happening now does surprise me a little bit. Like, I think how this game handled Helm's Deep was genius. I loved that section. Okay, so...
An icy chill grips my heart.
And it takes all of my strength to stand here at the walk. My heart quails and would have me fly from my post in terror. Ingold lowers his voice and speaks in hushed tones. The enemy has catapulted vile ammunition onto the city, heads they have taken from soldiers caught outside the walls. In the Pelennor and Talath Anor, the barrage has caused men to cast down their weapons, fleeing from the sight of the friends and family returned in this horrible fashion. I'm not immune to this weapon of Mordor. I've recognized faces in that terrible rain. It was the fate of Barathant, and I wept to see it. Can you gather up the weapons and shields that were dropped by frightened men as they fled their stations? We'll need that equipment and those men if we are to stand against the armies of Mordor.
I do not blame them for running, but we need them to master their fear.
Thank you for gathering up that equipment, my friend. Now we need men to wield them once again. I do not blame them for running. Evil are the sights in war, but this is worse than even a hardened soldier of Gondor could expect. But we must not give up hope. If the men who ran do not return and fight, they will prove great allies to the foes outside the city. Only by returning to their posts and facing their fears can they strike a blow against such evil. Find the men who ran, tell them to return. We need every soldier of Gondor to master his fear and stand against the host of Mordor, or all is already lost. die for you. No, this isn't going well. All right, I will fight for my honor. There we go. We got one. Two. Three. All right. Yeah. All right, 4. 5, one more. Nope. There we go.
I will fight until the last of my courage is spent.
You did well, my friend. I too will fight until the last of my courage is spent in order to avenge the sad fate of my friends. Barathant will be avenged, and it is in my power to prevent the destruction of Gondor. I will do it. And if it is, okay. Okay, so it looks like we've got to get up a couple of levels. So I'm still getting poor frame rate. So it's not that there's like tons of people in the pre-siege city. Like I didn't know if like somehow they took AI resources. They don't really do much, so I could see how they wouldn't really need much AI. Computational power, graphical workhorse, horsepower, blah blah blah. So is it just then? Is it like extremely complicated geometry? And maybe an old engine has limitations to its optimizing? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we have to worry about the passwords anymore. Watching the catapults come in. So am I going one more level up? Okay, I think we're getting to the last tier we have to ascend to.
Fire threatens to spread throughout the city.
The armies of Mordor catapulted flaming stones onto the city, and the fires threaten to spread. My men have set water buckets on each level, but there are simply not enough to go around. If you can help put out the blazes before they spread, you'd be doing the city a great service. Quickly, start here in the 6th circle and use one of the water buckets to put out the flaming stones, then work your way down city level by level. There will be water buckets near the ramps down to each circle, but they may not be near enough to the fires unless you hurry. Okay, so before I do that, I want to... Where am I? Before I do that, I want to hopefully talk to... There's talk to Lamlor. If I'm going to have to go back down...
The withered tree has left us a message.
The siege is well and truly begun. We must hope that our preparations were enough and that the gate stands strong. It should hold the enemies outside at bay for some hours, I hope. But it is the enemies within our walls that concern me right now. Look at the model of the city and the scroll that now decorates it. This message is the work of the withered tree. The end has come. That may be so, but I am going to ensure that the withered tree reaches its end before we do. Some member of that group gained access to the Dome of the Sun and committed this act while we were busy elsewhere. I am the captain of tidings, and I send forth errand riders throughout the city and to other parts of Gondor, but that is not my only title. I'm also the spy master of Minas Tirith, and I know how a group like the withered tree operates. They must have gained some of the passwords for the upper circles of the city. Huron must change the passwords. We have not used the current set for as long as usual, but in time of war, 3 hours may seem like days. Ask him for new passwords and give them to the guards at the gates in the upper circles. Then find members of the withered tree in the lower circles and make them cease their hateful whisperings. I will meet you at the first circle when you have proved successful. Okay, this is good, because this way, hopefully I can, kill two birds with one stone as I make my way down.
We must change the lesser passwords. It is time.
Okay. I've already written a new set of passwords for the gates into the upper circles of the city. Show them to the guards and then destroy this parchment. Perhaps that will hinder the movement of the withered tree into the upper levels. After the passwords have been set, Lamlor wants you to find members of the withered tree urging dissent in the lower circles. Oh, he's asking. After the passwords have been set, Lamlor wants you to find members of the withered tree. If you'll be able to recognize them, I suppose. They have become more brazen in recent days, and now that the siege has begun, I suppose they have nothing more to lose. They may be obvious to you now. go with haste and remain loyal to the council and to the steward. I don't know what the end game is for the withered tree. Are they just like, we'll side with the... Oh, I see. This is a way to get back and forth. Okay. Okay.
Already a new password.
All right. Very well. I recognize Hjorn's mark, and I will see to it no one passes the gate, save those who know the password Light of Hope. Okay. Let me just see if there's anything here, and then I'll start making my way down. Yeah, so I think I can grab this first bucket and then start making my way down, assigning passwords and putting out fires, hopefully. All right, one down. Let's head back and start making way down the layers.
I believed we would soon need
Flame of Victory is this password. Okay. Let's make our way to the next passage, to the next tier down.
The orcs of Mordor will not turn from this gate for the lack of the password.
Okay, the new password is triumphant. Now I gotta keep an eye out for the withered tree.
The steward is a fool! We will not die for him!
I don't know if I can fight. Nope, carrying a water bucket. Alright, so hopefully I can kind of kite the... Nope, okay. So let me go put this fire out, then I'll circle back. Now, the trick with my new plan about just, playing for a couple hours and where I stop is like when you get into this kind of quest, you kind of want to see it through. You don't want to just be like, okay, and we'll pause here. Alright, let's see what this has got going on.
This gets the blood flowing, does it not?
Okay, so fires in the city, I'm not sure.
An air of doom hangs over the city. Forlorn does not seem to care.
The steward is a fool! We will not die for him!
Now we should be able to. And these guys are signatures, so they're not messing around. Got 15,000 morale.
There is no hope for us. The council and the steward have failed!
let's see. So the withered tree, okay. I think I just need to go down to the next layer. Because I've already defeated one on this level, so you can see they're all sort of not usable, I think.
Why are you bothering me?
And then I did the bucket of water on this level, so I'm hoping this tier is all set.
Open the gates!
Okay. Now where's the bucket of water, though?
It is good to see you making yourself useful, friend.
My sons wanted to charge out of the city and take on the enemy by themselves. Their hearts burned for battle, but I have set them to more reasonable tasks. When that great ball came down, trailing fire behind it, it took a large bite from the wall. For now, my sons work to shore up the defenses and repair what they can. They grumble about it, but I know there will be fighting before the night is over. They will have their chance. I hope you'll be ready as well when that time comes. It will not be long now, Warden. Okay, so we've done that. So I still need to get to the city gates in the first level. So that takes care of the fires. So now we still got to finish the withered tree, and then I think we can continue Book 4, Chapter 9. All right, almost there. decent sound design. I do wish, you got some explosions, you got the sounds of men fighting, some screams occasionally. I do wish, and this is a lot to ask, or maybe it's not, I don't know, but like sometimes when you see catapults lobbing, stones overhead, there's not always like, I think, an attached sound to it. I wish there was like a thwoom, some kind of noise, like a rush of air, a whoosh of air.
Supporters of the withered tree are both disloyal and foolish.
You found supporters of the withered tree throughout the lower circles of the city? I knew you would. There are more and more of them with every passing hour. I've been kept quite busy keeping them away from the gate. Can you believe they think they will find mercy within the armies of Mordor? They're as loyal and foolish both. Keep fighting, and I will do the same against any and all foes. Okay, so there's something going on right here at the start of the second tier. I'm not seeing anything else. I think that's where I was saying talk to Prince Emily here, but I thought Mithrandir was also there, so maybe they're hanging out together. I gotta say, it's gonna be tough to want to go, like, there's the model of Minas Tirith in the Dome of the Sun that lets you go, like, I guess it's to, it makes sense to let you continue quests that you might have had hanging over you before the siege, but it's gonna be tough for me to want to go back. Again, I was curious about the cistern. Was that maybe part of the withered tree? Was that like a whole conspiracy going on?
The enemy prepares another assault! To me, soldiers of Gondor!
Okay. Prepare to repel them no matter the cost. For participate in the defense, open the Epic Battles panel and select the defense of Minas Tirith from the menu. After you successfully complete the defense, you will be returned to this location from which you entered it. Okay, so I confess I would rather... Well, let's see what this is. I like how they handled... Helm's Deep. And you can see, like, now it's... Defense of Rohan. Gondor, Helm's Dyke solo. Defense of Minas Tirith solo. Again, the arrow's not lining up where it needs to. Okay, the War for Gondor begins as the hosts of Minas Morgul and Mordor make for Minas Tirith. The quest starts with empty merit rate. Okay. Apparently I did that one. Oh, yeah, I did that one. That was annoying. So how do I start this? 9 points available. See, I just don't. Yeah, these are wildly off, so this is going to be a nightmare. So I've got 9 points available. So how do I start this? Because I just want to get this done.
Prepare to repel the enemy!
Yeah, it just says open the Epic Battles panel and select the Defense of Minas Tirith. So now when I do that, does it... This is still Helm's Dyke. So yeah, I don't know how to start the battle. I don't know if I'm missing something. Looks like you get 1 or 2, 6 or 12. The War for Gondor begins as the host of... Okay. The quest starts with Empty Mare Shore. Here's the rewards, I guess. It's some... Yeah, I feel really both dumb and bad, but like this is just stupid. I'm clearly not seeing something. Oh my God. Hold on, let me... Okay. Let me go to the Google... Okay. How to start epic battles in Lotro. Okay, so they're saying this might be the same thing, but let's see. This is what Google's saying. So you go here, you go to, let's close this. Hit Shift-I. But right off the bat. Okay. It's not right. So this isn't right. Shift-I. Access... I fucking hate this. Now this is saying Shift-B. That doesn't work either. Okay, that worked. Assign yourself to engineer, officer, or vanguard roles to use special skills, which are more crucial than your class skill. So this, yeah, is shot. So I don't know if that's part of it. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stop for now. This is where I'm gonna stop. We'll pick this back up when we start next time. This is so fucking dumb. Whether it's me or the game, like, god damn it, like, it should not be this hard to start whatever it is I'm trying to do here. So, yeah. Anyway, this is a frustrating note to end on, but this has been Black Lodge Trivia Night. You know, and it's hard because, like, the last session was frustrating. Like, there's shit going on in this game that I'm just not getting, or it's not clear, or whatever it is, and it's really stupidly frustrating. And again, it sort of reiterates in my mind, like, this, I hope they get the chance to do it because this game needs another pass. Like, you know, everybody, first draft, whatever, this game needs another pass. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go watch videos to see how to start this stuff, and, you know, maybe part of the problem is that I can't assign myself a role with my promotion points because things aren't clicking in the right spot. Like, who knows what it is, or maybe it's just me completely missing something, but next time I'll know how to do it, hopefully, and we'll pick this back up, starting with this battle at the end of Book 4, Chapter 10. So, thanks again to everybody who checks this out. We really appreciate it. Of course, this is Black Lodge Trivia Night, and we're mainly a tabletop RPG actual play podcast. Just, you know, if you're watching this, you found our YouTube channel, like and subscribe if that's your thing. Check out all the different systems and games that we've run over the years. If you prefer audio versions of our discussion podcasts or our actual plays, just search for Black Lodge Trivia Night wherever you get your audio, and we should show up. But otherwise, we'll be back with more of this. We'll be back with more Skyrim. Hopefully, we'll be back with the main stuff, which is more actual plays of tabletop RPGs. So, thanks again. Take care. Bye-bye.